All right, guys, our next guest is finally set to fight in the main event as he takes on Justin Gaethje at UFC Lincoln on August 25th. Currently on a 4-fight win streak. The Texecutioner himself is back, James Vick. Welcome back to the program. It's great to have you, man. You're joining us from, it looks like, a comfortable couch, possibly in your house.
How's it going, guys? I'm happy to be back on the show, and I'm actually at an extended stay hotel right now because my girl and my baby's up here visiting me for like a week during camp. So we're over here at this extended stay right across the street from the gym.
Very nice, man. So it's a bit of a family affair. I was going to ask you, because obviously fireworks between you and Justin this past weekend as you guys put on a show in your first big UFC presser. We're going to ask you how you enjoyed LA, but we know you had fun because there's this picture on Instagram of you, Mike Perry, Israel Adesanya, and Darren Till. Everybody's mean mugging except for you. You've got the biggest smile on your face. You look like a kid on Christmas. We can tell you had a good time there.
Yeah, it was a good time, and yeah, I guess I didn't. I guess it was supposed to be understood we were all supposed to mean mug. I don't know.
You didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo.
Let's talk about the face-off that you had with Justin. There was no smiling there, James. What did you see when you looked in his eyes and finally sort of came face-to-face with him after all this time?
I mean, I didn't really see a lot. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, he's not afraid. I'm not going to act like I saw him being scared. I think that he just, I don't know. I just saw a dumbass. I saw a dude who really just, I don't know. He just, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't think he wasn't trying to really intimidate me. He was just, and I wasn't trying to really intimidate him. We were just looking at each other, but I really just didn't see much from the guy.
It was interesting because when you guys had your back and forth during the press conference, you sort of went on to sort of say that he's beaten tomato cans and that, he doesn't belong in the UFC and he's on a losing streak. And he sort of had this response that, yeah, but I've got more money with you. And I know a lot of people sort of on Twitter thought, wow, that's a 10-8 for Vick right there. Why do you think he went with that comeback and sort of, rather than looking at his own record or anything, sided the money part?
Really, there's nothing else. What could he say? Neither one of us are making the type of money to be bragging on a big press conference like that, like we're rich or something. Come on, man. We're not McGregor. We're not George St. Pierre. We're not even world champions yet, so we ain't making that type of money to be bragging like we're rich or something. The dude really did. I kind of felt bad for him after going back and watching the press conference. He just didn't have anything in the arsenal. He thought he was going to be slick, and come out with the stuff he said. I didn't, and I felt like I did a good job. I didn't attack him first. I just rebutted back off of what he said. They asked me a question first, and I answered it. Didn't even mention him. I answered the question, and then he starts popping off when they ask him a question. So then I went back at him, and then he randomly brings. I guess he felt dumb after getting clowned on that first question. So then he comes back at me, tries to ask me another one, and then I clown him again. So I felt like I killed the dude in the press conference. To be honest with you, I felt like there was nothing else he could really say.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that he actually said in an interview that he was going to slap you when he saw you next. So did you see him much before or after the press conference? And did he say anything to you? Did he try to approach you to deliver on this promised slap?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. What's funny is I come. So I knew that the UFC needs to do a better job of this. They're lucky we didn't fight because I get to my hotel. The car drops me off. I come up to the front desk. The first guy I see at the front desk is Justin Gaethje. He's all by himself, and I'm by myself. And I just look over at him and smile. I look at him and smile, and then he looks back at me over his shoulder, and then he turns back around. He's handling his business, trying to get checked into his room. Then he gets his bags and he walks by, and then we just mean mug each other for a second and keep walking. And he's leaving the desk, and I'm going to check in at the desk, and that's all it was. And then later on, after the press conference, me and one of my old coaches that was out there cornering one of the fighters, we were going to go hit pads downstairs at the hotel that the fighters from this weekend's fights were fighting in, and we get on the elevator and it's Gaethje and his whole team are there.
Oh, wow.
His manager, me, all of them. And I just walked right in with him, and then he just made a comment. He's like, "Yeah, I don't fight for free," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't either, so we're good," And then I know his manager Ali very well, so I've always been really cool with him. So like I said, it's nothing personal. I'm not trying to the stuff I say about him I do believe is true. I do believe, everything I've said about him is true in my opinion. But I mean, I don't have anything personal against Justin Gaethje. He's just in my way to becoming a world champion, and I'm going to change my life with this fight. This is the biggest opportunity I've had, and I'm going to shine. I'm doing everything right that I need to do to get to where I need to get to, and he's just in the way.
Absolutely. Just quickly, on a side note, because you were there and you saw it firsthand, what was your reaction when Nate Diaz stormed out of the presser once the Conor Khabib promo started rolling?
I didn't even notice. I turned around and looked at it, and then I turned back around. I was like, oh, where'd he go? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That he's kind of weird. So I don't know any more about what he's thinking than anybody else.
It's interesting because obviously it's a huge fight, and there's a lot of big fights in your division. Are you sort of, with Al being out, is Justin sort of the best case scenario for you? And what do you think about these massive fights? Dustin versus Nate, Khabib versus Conor. We were just with GSP 2 days ago, and GSP wants to sort of maybe even get into that division as well. It's definitely the hottest lightweight has ever been in a long time.
Yeah, it's a deep division. It's hard. I mean, I have 9 wins in the UFC, and I'm just now getting a top 10 guy. I will say, for me to get Gaethje, it does. I do appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it because none of those other guys would fight me. They've been offered fights. Kevin Lee, Michael Chiesa, these guys have been offered fights, and they won't take them. They will not take them. And he agreed to fight me. I mean, granted, it was because his opponent pulled out or whatever, but at least he's not a pussy. At least he took the fight. So I do respect the guy for doing that for sure.
Where do you think this one sort of puts you after the win? Not so much in terms of rankings, but like you mentioned, the hard thing for you has always been fighters not accepting fights with you. So if you beat Justin Gaethje here, do you think that puts you in a better spot? You would theoretically be ranked at number 7. Do you think that makes you a bit more of an appealing name? Or do you think you might still encounter that problem where fighters, would not really be that keen on fighting you?
Well, with me winning a main event, I think that's the most important thing. Not even the fact that Gaethje's ranked higher. If I win, I win a main event, I feel like that's gonna propel me into more superstardom. And there's still several guys ranked above me that are not gonna agree to fight me 100%. They're just not gonna agree to fight me. But there's a couple that they're gonna have to. I don't know who they're gonna offer me after this fight, but there's a few of the guys, the way things are tied up in the division with Conor, with Khabib, and with Nate, Poirier, some of these guys are going to have to fight. So we're going to see what's offered next.
You mentioned his name before, so I just want to quickly get your thoughts on it. Michael Chiesa, we've spoken to him before. He didn't really want to talk to you about you before this Pettis fight. Didn't really give you much thought. What did you think of his performance against Pettis? And is he still a guy that's on your radar? Or now that he's lost, is he sort of behind you?
No, he's not on my radar anymore. It's not because he lost. It's because he's been punking out, and I've been trying to get a rematch with this guy for almost 6 years now. I mean, I publicly, practically begged this dude to fight me, and how many more times do I have to keep begging this guy to fight me? I mean, you have to just keep going at somebody over and over. It makes you look bad. You know what I'm saying? When you do that. So I'm done with the guy. If him and Kevin Lee both, you know what I'm saying? Both of them have turned down multiple fights with me. I have text messages proving that they've turned down fights with me. So if they ever deny it, then I'll expose it, But it's just I'm not going to chase these guys anymore, especially once I get ranked up there. I'll be ranked above him at that point. It's not that I wouldn't want to avenge that loss, because I always think about avenging losses. But especially to someone who's really hadn't lost very much ever, in my amateur boxing, MMA, and kickboxing all combined, I haven't lost many fights, and they do bother me, because I consider myself, a winner, and I would love to get those losses back. But I'm not even worried about that guy, and I'm not gonna call him out, try to fight him. If he calls me out now, I'm gonna be like, well, y'all need to pay me more money because I begged to fight this guy for 6 years, and now all of a sudden this motherfucker wants to fight me.
Well, just quickly on that, you mentioned Kevin Lee. He's trying to angle for a fight with Al Quinta. Do you find it funny that now that you're sort of booked, he's sort of calling out Al, but he was never really responding to you back when you were sort of putting out the challenge to him?
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing. After I win this fight, I'm going to be ranked above Al. But fuck Kevin Lee. If they want me to fight him, they're going to have to pay me more money too. Because I've called this guy out multiple times. He's turned down 2 fights physically, he has turned down 2 fights with me. I have text messages to prove this from UFC matchmakers. Joe Silva back when Joe Silva was still here, and Sean Shelby both. So if he and I've said this publicly that he's turned down fights with me, and he's never really denied it. He just kind of just sidesteps the question. So 100%, I've been saving these messages for years. The guy has turned down fights with me, and I'm not fighting him now unless I get paid at least as much as he does. Because what the fuck is the point? Why do I have to keep calling these guys out? And then I'm not on their schedule. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all needed fights, and if he wants to fight a guy ranked below me, then he can. You know, after I win this fight, I'm gonna be ranked, above Al. But I appreciate Al. I really do. You know, because without Al pulling out of this fight, I wouldn't even have got the Gaethje fight. So I appreciate Al. Me and Al are longtime friends. We lived together on the Ultimate Fighter show together. So I appreciate it. And I don't care if Kevin Lee and Al fight. Good for them. I hope they get paid and have a good fight. I don't even care about Kevin Lee anymore. Fuck him.
I know obviously you're on this quest for greatness. We see all over your Instagram, you feel like that title is coming. You're on a great win streak at the moment on 4th. Justin Gaethje would make it number 5. GSP the other day saying that he's interested in facing the winner of Khabib and Conor next. I guess people get a little bit nervous when GSP sort of enters the picture just because of what happened at middleweight. Would it bother you at all if GSP sort of jumped the queue and jumped in there and got that title shot next?
I mean, I'm not delusional like some of these other guys are. I mean, of course Conor's going to come back and get a fight. Of course GSP is going to get the fight, and it may be a year and a half before a legit contender that has earned his right gets that. GSP hasn't earned that right, but GSP is still one of the greatest fighters of all time. So of course he's going to come in and get his choice, and he should. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the he defended his belt at 170 crazy number of times. He's a 2-division world champion in 2 different weight classes. Of course he's going to come back and get that title shot if he wants it, and I'm not going to hate on that. And whatever, there's a couple of other guys I would gladly fight.
Mm-mm. Well, we know we don't have much time with you, so just quickly, when it comes to Justin, let's get the prediction. You've seen him face to face now. This fight is a lot closer. It's not far away. How do you think this goes down? How do you see yourself beating him? How do you see this fight playing out?
I think I'm going to knock him out. I think I'm going to finish him and knock him out or choke him out. I think that the way he fights and the damage he takes, we're not going 5 rounds. Either my leg ain't holding up or his chin ain't. And I'm not worried about the guy's leg kicks. I'm fully aware of what he does, but I lived in Holland for over a month. I've trained with world-class Dutch kickboxers before. I'm not worried about what he does. I think that he's not a guy that's going to stay on the outside of me and, me just pick him apart, because he's willing to take 3 or 4 punches to land a kick or his own punch. So he's not going to last more than 3 rounds before he gets knocked out, because he's going to take too many shots, or I'm just going to hit him with a clean one early and knock him out.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't got no defense.
I was going to say, after his last fight, he mentioned how he needs to change things. He might sort of use his wrestling. Do you think there's any chance this is the first fight where we see Justin Gaethje sort of bring out a new Justin Gaethje, rely on his wrestling pedigree? And do you think that's even possible for fighters sort of this late in their career to make these kind of drastic changes in their game?
I don't really understand if he did try to wrestle me, which I've been wrestling, for a long time myself. I don't understand what his end game would be. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 10 years. The guy, if he got me down, I would get up immediately. There's no one been able to hold me down. And any of the guys I fought have not been able to hold me down. No one's ever been able to do any damage to me on the ground. Justin Gaethje probably couldn't even pass my guard. And I would get up immediately, and it's just going to drain his gas tank trying to wrestle me. So if he does that strategy, maybe if he got a takedown on me, and once I got up immediately, I think he would abandon that strategy immediately, because as he said before, he don't like wrestling because it gasses him out. Well, I'm not the person to gas out against. I have some of the best cardio in the whole UFC. So I'm not the guy to be gassing out against. Hopefully, sure, he can come out and wrestle, because the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to make him more tired than it is me. It's going to make him way tireder faster as well.
Well, guys, make sure you follow James on Twitter and Instagram at JamesVick MMA. He's taking on Justin Gaethje August 25th. That's 26 in Australia and New Zealand in the main event of UFC Lincoln. Thank you so much for taking the time, James. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.